The first video I'm making today is about the death of an incredibly talented artist, an actor, a director, of course, his beloved wife. And unfortunately, my first thought was, I hope this isn't political. Rob Reiner was an outspoken activist, a fighter for democracy, for human rights, and I thought, I hope this isn't political. That was my first thought. And my second thought, unfortunately, before making this video, was to go to Truth Social, something that no sane person should ever have to think in their life. Let me see what's happening on Truth Social. But I did, and what I found, for so many reasons, was incredibly disturbing and upsetting. Not just because of the tragedy that happened tonight, the death of Rob Reiner and his wife that I want to talk about, but just because of where we are in this country and how we feel every single day and how tiring it is. I want to talk about Rob Reiner. I want to talk about his life. I want to talk about this numbness that we shouldn't have to feel. I want to talk about Trump. So please stick around for all of it. But, unfortunately, we do have to start with this devastating breaking news tonight. And then, I want to play a clip of Rob Reiner talking about the fight that we must continue to have. I don't want to make this political. I want to make this clear. But it's just what I want to kind of get off my chest tonight. But I want to start with this devastating breaking news. Breaking: Rob Reiner and wife allegedly killed by their son, according to shocking report. Hollywood icon Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle Singer, Reiner, were allegedly killed by their son, according to a stunning report from People. People, citing multiple sources, identified Nick Reiner as the alleged perpetrator in the killing of his 78-year-old father and 68-year-old mother. Nick Reiner, according to the People report, battled substance abuse for years. He said he was homeless for long periods of time, telling people he often slept outside for days and weeks at a time.
Our democracy is being taken away from us, and we only have about a year. Just to be clear about this, and people, you're doing a great job, and a lot of other people are doing a good job to tell people what is actually happening in this country. But make no mistake, we have a year before this country becomes a full-on autocracy and democracy completely leaves us. And we're looking at the election in 2026, and Donald Trump knows. He knows that in a free and fair election, he will lose. He will lose the House. The House will flip and will become into Democratic hands. There'll be committee chairs that'll be able to hold hearings. And this is the last thing he wants. So this little, these ICE agents and the National Guard, and now he's called the military in from all over the world to talk to them about, don't be surprised when polling booths are surrounded by American military in the guise of making sure that the elections are fair and that nobody's tampering with anything. And when you see violence breaking out, which there'll be protests, there'll be inciting violence, there'll be some violence, and they'll kick back. Then you'll see the commandeering of voting machines, ballot boxes, to make sure that that election is secure. Well, what that means is that he will then commandeer the election. So we have to make the public absolutely aware that their democracy is being taken from them. And we have to do everything we can to make sure people understand that. People don't, it's a vague term, democracy. It's like, what does that mean? The Constitution, we don't know what that means. People care about their pocketbook issues, the price of eggs, they care about their health care, and they should. Those are the things that directly affect them. But if they lose their democracy, all of these rights, the freedom of speech, the freedom to pray the way you want, the freedom to protest and not go to jail, not be sent out of the country with no due process, all these things will be taken away from them.
Now, I just want to say again that I don't want to take a tragic death, a murder of two people, as an opportunity to talk about Donald Trump, because I don't want to make everything in our lives certainly about Donald Trump. But I feel like I have to Or maybe I don't feel like I have to make it about him as much as I just have to talk about the fact that it is so devastating that we just have to encounter so much violence all the time, and that we have to think about who we do and do not want to be the perpetrator. I know that sounds ridiculous, but like, stick with me for a second. How much fear did we have waiting for a suspect to be identified in the shooting of Charlie Kirk, hoping that it wasn't a trans person, so that the right didn't have an opportunity to further their disgusting crackdown and abuse some of the most marginalized people in our society. And that it was only till it was identified that it was a white guy that Erica Kirk decided forgiveness is what she needed to go forward with. And I was really scared tonight that the report we are going to get with this is going to be a politically motivated killing, or anything of the sort. That again doesn't take away, it doesn't add to, or take away. And I'm really looking for the words right now how devastating this is. But there is something different about it. And it's crazy that we have to differentiate between the different types of shootings and the different types of killings and the different systems that let us down. And that maybe we spend so much time on these individuals when we should be looking at those systems. And it's tough that we have to sort through what type of killing it was. And as we're doing that, when I went to Truth Social to see if Donald Trump had said something or hadn't said something about a man, I'm sure he would speak ill of the last post that came up was this: Trump riding in the lobby of our beautiful White House with his fight photo from the assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania. A photo behind him in the White House. So what does this have to do with Rob Reiner? Why am I making this a video? Well, because a man did die in Pennsylvania that day, a man with a family that he left behind, a firefighter, part of his community. And Donald Trump had his jacket at the RNC. But he didn't really talk about him after that. And Donald Trump said, these types of things happen today, referring to the shooting at Brown University. And Donald Trump just kind of moved on from shootings. It was the most important thing in the world when it happened to him. He's kind of moved on. Erica Kirk talks about political violence, didn't say a word about a shooting that happened the same day as her husband was killed, didn't say a word about every shooting since the shooting that happened yesterday. And they just don't care. And we feel so numb, and we feel so separated, and so broken, and so tired that right now, right-wingers on Twitter are mocking the death of Rob Reiner, and they're making jokes. The same people who tracked down anyone who posted Charlie Kirk's own words are making jokes because this was one of us. It was one of ours. Some guy, a man who stood up for democracy. They just see some guy on the left. And the fact that we have to think about that is heartbreaking. It really is. So that's kind of where I come to you tonight, is just heartbroken. That my first thought was, I hope this isn't political thinking. What would that mean for us for the foreseeable future? And I hope Donald Trump hasn't made fun of him and this tragic death. Thinking back to the fact that the night when Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg died, Donald Trump's own staffers didn't tell him before he got on stage to make a speech. And they didn't tell him because they didn't know what he would say about a woman who had just died, because it was politically beneficial to him. And I don't know what Donald Trump will say when it is politically beneficial to him, but Tenet is a tragedy. And there may be some comments. I understand saying like, Jack, why are you talking about Donald Trump right now? Maybe, like, let's just give ourselves a moment to grieve a wonderful artist, and a great activist, and a great person. And I understand that, but I just want to say how hard it is that this is all that we have to think about in these moments, and how difficult it is for me, that, and not in a complaint certainly, but just how isn't it strange that this is what we have to think about? That we just can't have the time to grieve and to be sad and heartbroken. That we have to consider what Donald Trump is going to do, what Donald Trump is going to say, what he's going to post, who he's going to mock, how he's going to use it, how he's going to not, and that we don't have someone who actually cares. Isn't that sad? Because it really hurts my heart. It really does. And the fact that we've grown so numb really hurts my heart. And why wouldn't we? It happens every day. I said it last night. Mass shootings happen every day in America. It's just that they're not in the same place, that the media does not give it the coverage that it deserves. That we live in this ongoing epidemic of gun violence. That a young woman going to school at Brown University, who was 5 minutes away from where the shooting took place, had PTSD triggered from when she was close by Parkland earlier in her life, when that shooting claimed innocent lives, to school shootings she experienced from afar, but no less impactful. And you can say it's back-to-back days of tragedy and loss of life, but it's every day, and it's just tough. And I don't know if I necessarily had a point in all of this, except for the fact that we should feel bad, and we can't be numb to it. And we should want more from the people who will not fix it. And that's what I have to say. So I just want to be able to talk this out with y'all. I hope this meant something in some way. Maybe I'm still a little loopy for those of y'all who saw I posted. I was in the ER last night with kidney stones. We're doing our best though. But yeah, I just wanted to say that that's what I have to say. And I appreciate y'all being there to listen. And until next time, I will see y'all soon.